Well, hello there. Welcome back to the podcast, Money Matters Made Simple. Yes, I did the name change. Felt like the last name was not something that came off my tongue. That makes sense. But also, I wanted to make sure what I was talking about just made sense. So, new title, Money Matters Made Simple, sponsored by Car Envy and the Car Strategist. Okay, so today we're still talking about the stuff, the ish that other car buyers don't tell you when you're car shopping, right? So we're going to talk about today how to narrow down your search. And this comes really important simply because if you don't narrow down your search, then you have all these cars. So my example is going to go back to one of the clients that I was helping, and we had all these cars on the table, cars, trucks, you name it. I made a flow chart. I made an Excel worksheet. I did everything possible to try to make sure he understood what he was looking for. But the harder I worked at it, the more confused he got. So finally, I stopped and I said, tell me what you know about cars. And he said, not very much. I said, there's got to be some car that you know about. Give me something to work with. And so he said, well, I know what a Honda is. What is the flagship, or what is higher than Honda? So then I had to tell him Acura, Honda, and Acura. Acura is going to be the flagship. So we kind of did that exercise, and then we started talking about trucks, specifically GMC, Chevy, same type family, right? It became very important to start narrowing down what he may be interested in. And it may not seem like a big deal, but when you are fresh to this industry, or when you're fresh to car shopping or car buying, it's just really mind-boggling. So the approach that we took was, okay, tell me A and I'll tell you B, or tell me what feature you're looking for and I will tell you what best works. Now, if you don't have a person or guide to help you with something like that, there are three things to do as you work through this process. This process is still the search before the car research process itself. Go out to neighborhood dealerships. I would kind of go after hours where no one can bug you. I wouldn't go too late for safety's sake. Start making note of the cars that you find appealing. Make note of the colors. Make note of whether or not you want a 4-door, a 2-door, whether or not you want a truck, a SUV, a minivan, a crossover, or hatchback. Start making those notes for yourself. The only way you're going to know it, or the only way you're going to start getting yourself familiarized, is to walk onto a dealership. Sometimes they'll allow you to just look, right? If you're in a state where that's not possible, please do not do that. But when you're in parking lots, work parking lot, there are a bunch of cars. When you're out and about in a restaurant, there are a bunch of cars. Start making notes of them. That's how I helped my clients. As you're at the shopping center, make notes of the cars that are interesting to you. The second thing that I would recommend is visit websites such as kbb.com, because it will give you the value of the car that you have in mind. But even more important, you may not put that aside for a minute. Cars.com, autotrader.com are examples of websites that you can look at that will give you a bunch of cars, and that can be overwhelming. So I'm going to ask you to take this approach. Decide, is it a car? And how would a car work best for you? A car may work best for you if you're, let's say, a student, you don't have a big family, it's easy to get in and out of. You may not need a 4-door. You may need just a 2-door. Or you may need a truck for the flexibility if you're hauling stuff. A hatchback for me, that's not my cup of tea, but it works for some people because it gives you this thing, kind of like a crossover between a car and a small minivan. It's kind of how I view a hatchback. Then, of course, you have the crossovers, which will act like a car and a truck. Then you have the SUVs, which are the bigger version, right? You have the minivan. The only reason I would think about a minivan is if I had kids. And even then, that's not my cup of tea. That may be something that may work best for you. Start looking at the ratings of cars. So start visiting places such as carandriver.com, motortrend.com, youtube.com will give you a bunch of information about cars, reviews about cars, right? How they rank, and alternatives to those cars. So those are the three things that I wanted to talk about. As you're moving forward in your search process, this is the part where you paper meets pencil. Start making some decisions. Narrow down 3, no more than 4 vehicles that you may be interested in. This will help you kind of figure that out, right? But put a pencil to the paper. Decide if a car, truck, SUV, minivan, crossover, hatchback, then start working through the colors. You may not be able to decide yet, but start working through the colors. Start working through the manufacturers. Do you want a Chevy? Do you want a Honda? Do you want what type of vehicle you want? You might want safety. When you're looking at safety, the first manufacturer that comes to mind is Subaru. Do you want an EV, electric vehicle, something like a Tesla? Start working through those things and start making notes for yourself to help you during the research process. If you found this information informative, please share. Please click surprise. Actually, I meant to say click subscribe. No, I'm not going to fix it. And I will see you on the next episode. Thank you.